Well, hi there. I'm Julie Patterson.
And I'm Paul Booty. We're doing it again. It's another Lifestyle Indy. Bruce Kopp tells us there's something that connects Marion College with the Velodrome, so we need to find that out on this particular episode.
Dick Wolfsey has been in this community for many, many years, told so many stories. What's he up to? Has he written a new book? You're going to find out.
And we're also going to wrap up the show.
I like the way you're talking with your hands here.
With cooking with WRAPS.
Swiss chard. Have you ever thought about using that as the base of something delicious to eat? I bet you haven't.
You have whet my appetite for this
good.
episode, yes.
Mary's going to show us exactly how to do that. I think you're going to enjoy on this episode of Lifestyle Indy.
Your life, your style.
Lifestyle Indy is made possible with support from Westport Homes, dedicated to building homes for every chapter of life, with plans and details that match customer-specific needs and style. Additional funding is provided by Altman, Poindexter, and Wyatt attorneys, serving clients throughout Central Indiana with wills, trusts, and estates, with over 70 years of combined experience.
Hey, Julie, we get to welcome somebody new to the family.
I'm so excited. Our new reporter, and he's going to do this story, is Bruce Kopp.
Our new Cub reporter, Bruce, is with us.
Welcome to Lifestyle Indy, Bruce.
Yeah, and he's got a good place to go to, the Velodrome.
Oh, my goodness.
Are we going to drone over the Velodrome?
We might.
Yeah, perhaps.
Let's find out.
When you think of racing in Indianapolis, you usually think of the Indy 500 and Speedway, but here not far away from the track is the Indy Cycloplex, where it's the two-wheeled variety. And I'm with the director of the Indy Cycloplex, Dean Peterson, who knows all about the history of this terrific complex. Dean, good to have you here.
Thank you.
The Major Taylor Velodrome, the hosting site for all your activities. It's been here quite a while, hasn't it?
It's been here since the early 80s, yep. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those great facilities that was created through the Pan Am movement when we had the Pan American Games here in '87.
Yes, and it's been very active ever since, right? And it's open to the public. So many people get their first taste of cycling right here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. This is a great way to start cycling in terms of cycling racing or cycling and just sharing your enthusiasm with others out here. It's safe, there's no traffic, and it's a place where a lot of people start, usually adults actually. We like young riders to start here because we can really help build their skills a lot quicker here.
And a lot of people are very aware of the Velodrome here and its history. We're right along with I-65, this stretch of I-65. Mm-hmm. You can see it from the interstate if you're going slow enough. You just have to be careful. But the history, of course, dates back to the namesake of the Velodrome, Major Taylor. You
Absolutely.
even have a collector's item right there, the T-shirt. Of What about the history of Major Taylor? We're talking about more than 100 years ago.
More than 100 years ago. And at the turn of the century, 1900 or so, he was definitely the fastest man on a bicycle and quite overlooked. And so this getting done, and Fred Evans was the man who was part of the committee that helped push that effort to have this place named after Major Taylor. And Fred has since passed, but his legacy lives on through what he did with the naming of this, and then so many other things that he did in the community with bicycles. But Major Taylor was a big forgotten athlete in our history.
Yes,
and there's a lot more going on now to begin to revive his name.
Yeah, in Indianapolis sports history, he is certainly held in high regard. He's been an inspiration to so many to hop on a bike and to try their skills, and people still have that opportunity today. So you can bring a bicycle out here. You can't just hop on your Stingray and do it though, right?
No, not your Stingray, right. Even though we have that in common, but no.
I would have liked to try it, but it doesn't work on this track, right?
You could do it on the apron,
okay.
if we just have some fun rides.
But that's it.
Not on the banked oval.
But you actually are on a racing bike.
racing bike that's fixed gear and no brakes. And that sounds intimidating initially, but we teach you how to ride, and it's really just like the flow of an interstate. It just really, and we teach you how to slowly backpedal out of higher speeds. So that's all part of the teaching we do here to make it easy for people to just jump on and get used to this. Yeah.
So you take track 101, and then you can advance if you get the hang of this, right?
Correct.
All the way up to elite levels. How does that work?
So we have beginner, intermediate, and even youth training after the 101s, and it's a great way for us to then get into the specifics. Once they know the basics, it's kind of like driver's ed in the early stages, and then we get into the more complex situations, and we just step by step and in a process take people through that. And those are in the evenings from 6 to 8, and that's a really great way to teach. It's how we teach in schools, really, just processing. And then eventually you go to racing if that's what you want to do. If you want to just come out here and ride, then you're already equipped to do that as well.
Okay. The racing events, there are quite a few competitions out here. What kind of levels of competition can people come to see?
The beginner levels that we say, once you've done two intermediate classes, you can go right into early racing. So that's the beginner level, and then there's intermediate, and then there's elite level.
Elite level.
And we have that on Thursday nights, every Thursday.
Right.
But we also have bigger races that we draw from actually around the world for people to come here. And those are really more for the spectators and just having fun watching people do it really fast in big groups.
All right. And you have banked curves here. For example, out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, I understand the turns there are 9 degrees. That's the way they've been since the early 1900s. Here, they're at 28 degrees.
28 degrees.
Right. So 3 times more than that.
Yep.
Why is it that they're so banked?
So it's partially to be able to hold the kind of speed that the riders hold, and there's smaller tracks that are even more banked than this. But basically holding the speed and keeping things in a nice format within this. And then they're also used for basically rider advantage, whether it's going to be attacking a group and trying to get more speed off of the banking, or just having a kind of a bird's eye view of what's going on below you before you go back down into the draft. There's a lot of drafting and a lot of tactics involved, and as it advances, people learn how to use the track and the banking to their advantage.
Have you noticed any connection between the increase in bike paths in the city of Indianapolis or around central Indiana that can contribute to the traffic on this track?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Traffic on the track and traffic of people coming here on bikes to watch, which has been awesome. So sometimes on Thursday nights midsummer, we'll have 30 bikes in the racks out here, and people are here watching. And it's been great.
All right.
And that is bike paths.
This complex is kind of tucked away. It's out.
It is.
I mean, you really just end up buzzing by it back and forth. You'd never know.
It's a hidden place, honestly, and it's not a very easy place to get into. You have to kind of know. So you do have to look it up. It's free. We don't charge a gate fee. So it's a great Thursday night. I mean, it's a wonderful night to come out and watch, and it's a beautiful venue. It's very, very different. When you're at the top of the grandstands, you can see the city, and it's gorgeous. So for that part, it's something very special and quite unique. So at least a bucket list, evening to come out and try it, and I'm guessing it won't be a bucket list because it'll just keep coming back.
Well, Dean Peterson with Indy Cycloplex, thanks very much. Congratulations again on all the national championships for Marian University. So that's it from here. I'm Bruce Kopp for LifeStyle Indy.
Oh, we are not done telling you stories.
We're never done telling stories. We always have another one.
People to meet, places to go. We're very
Things to
busy.
eat.
Yeah,
we are
things
busy.
to eat, right, yeah.
The show introduces you to so many things, and you're going to like this segment.
Staying connected is the fountain of youth, but it can be really challenging to figure out how to stay engaged with our loved ones as they start to get older. That's why we have loved one subscription boxes here that seems to have kind of the perfect gift to spark some of that joy and engagement. Tell me about how this idea really got started.
Well, it's actually a situation where I think somebody once said necessity is the mother of invention. And the Loved One box is a subscription service that provides numerous opportunities for a family, friends, and community to stay engaged with a loved one. Everybody has the responsibility of dealing with an aging parent at some point in their life. And everybody on the loved one team went through that same exact process. And while we were doing that, we discovered a study, an 80-year study from the Harvard School of Medicine on aging, and their conclusion was stunning. They found that more powerful than genetics or any other health factor, that the most powerful indicator of living a longer and healthier life turned out to be staying engaged and interacting with family, friends, and community. And it actually made a difference of 10 to 20 years, which is huge.
Wow. And what I love about this is that it's more than a gift. It's about when you talk to your parents or grandparents, they say, I just want some time with you. It's more than that. And this really is sparking some of that. Tell me about the things inside and how they do that. They get the conversation going.
Well, everything in this box, we start out with this, what's called the content card. So this is to tell the person that's receiving it, the senior that's receiving it. It tells them what's in the box and how they can use the items.
And they've got puzzles and games and all kinds of things to get them active as well.
In fact, this particular month was mind, body, and spirit. So things that engage the mind, things that help the body stay healthful, and then spirit, things that make you actually believe and enjoy life. So every item in this box is chosen for its potential to promote and enhance human interaction and engagement.
So you've got
there's
puzzles, you've got gardening, I really like this, the hummingbird feeder.
Yeah, the hummingbird feeder is really unique in that it fits on anybody's window, so you can be living in assisted living or back at home, doesn't matter. You put this on the window, and by putting food, hummingbird water, into this feeder, you create a relationship with the birds, a dependency, and that provides a positive reason for being engaged or getting up each day. It gives purpose in life. The things that are in it are always a surprise. We change this every single month. And they can, when they do a subscription, they can do it for 3 boxes a year, 6 boxes a year, 12 boxes a year. Without the box, they tend to talk about the weather for 30 seconds, and then they start talking about who's sick, who's in the hospital, who broke their hip. Those are real negative things. Instead, with this box, we want people to be able to engage every time in a positive sense. Every time they talk to them, every time they visit, whether it's the grandkids or the adults, there's something in this box for everybody to stay engaged. And we provide a engagement guide. This is probably the most important part. We provide an engagement guide for the family members so that when the box comes, they know what's in the box, and they know they have a roadmap of everything that they can do to stay engaged with their loved one.
I love it. And we've talked a lot about our aging family members, but really this could fit for a lot of people who maybe are just living alone or in isolation, maybe with different kinds of handicaps that prevent them from getting out into the community.
We know that some of the things that adds to longevity and quality of life certainly are positive human interaction, engaging our mind and our social skills. Things that move us in that direction are always going to be a positive, really, quite frankly, for any of us, but particularly relevant as we age. And there is a tendency towards isolation that we know will have negative effects. So it only stands to reason things that would move us towards connectivity would have positive effects.
Well, I think one of the unique features of the Loved One box is that everything is interesting, it's useful, and in many cases it's brand new, never seen it.
He didn't want them at first because parents, they don't want you to buy anything for them. And then he really started to like some of the gifts and things that were inside the box. And he also likes to give them away to his caregivers. I'm 100 miles away and I'm not able to get there to see him that often, and so he gives them to the caregivers as they come in, and they all look for it. It's almost like a birthday party when the box comes. So most of the time I don't get to see what was in the box. I just get to see the empty box when I visit.
And how does it make you feel? Because it is hard to be that far away from our loved ones, especially as they're aging, knowing that you have something kind of unique you're able to give him.
Well, I also get to talk with him about what's in the box and some of the articles and things that they send that he gets to read, things that are in the box, the reactions of what he's giving away. You know, that prolongs our conversation. And we're talking about more than the weather or his health or something like that. So it's really great to be able to send that to him, and the fact that he really looks forward to receiving the package each month. So it's been great.
And how do you know what to even ask him about, since you're not there when he's opening this gift?
Well, I get an email with the engagement guide that tells me what's in the box and what the articles. I can go ahead and read like the articles ahead of time before he gets it, so we have something to talk about when we get on the phone. So our conversation's more than a 5-minute conversation.
I love it, and really like helping to maintain that relationship even though there's distance there.
Well, I also share it with my brothers, so we all engage with my father, and so that keeps him, you know, active, and he's got more things to talk about with everybody. So
yeah, so great, so great to keep those relationships going. Thank you so much, and I'm sure that your dad really appreciates it. If you want to learn more about how you can send a loved one box to one of your family members, you can head to the website where you can get all kinds of great information. For now, I'm Amanda Clark with Lifestyle Indy.
I don't know if I've told you in the last 5 minutes, Julie, but Paul Poteet's got to eat.
Oh, good gracious, you're always so starving.
But you know, if you do like I do, and you
Yes,
eat
all the time, yes,
eat all the time, then sometimes when you're eating, you need to eat kind of healthy, you know.
I think it's a good idea, and it's also a good idea to try something maybe you've never tried before.
Nice and green and all wrapped up in Swiss chard.
Yes, Mary is here to introduce us to these cool wraps.
Hi, I'm Mary DeBinion. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to make a really cool recipe using this beautiful leafy green called chard. Now, I don't know how many times you've walked in the grocery store and probably gone through and passed it, and if you've really thought to yourself, what do I do with that? I don't know how to pick it, I don't know how to store it, and honestly, what do I do with it? So I'm going to teach you, I'm going to show you a recipe that I really enjoy, and it's really making a wrap using chard as sort of the wrap. But before we get started, let me give you a little bit of history behind chard and a little bit of information. You know, you're going to see it referred to as Swiss chard, red chard, and then also I've got a bunch over here called rainbow chard. And what you'll notice is that the stem and the vein running through this beautiful leafy green is all different colors. Well, it's really the same throughout. It just has some different names that we refer to it. So once you buy in the grocery store, you want to bring it home and obviously rinse off any dirt, fill your kitchen sink with some cold water or maybe a large bowl, and then submerge those leafy greens in there and just kind of swish it around to get loosen off any debris or any dirt that might still be on the leaf or on the stem. All right, so let's go ahead and start our recipe. I like to take, there's a shiny side to chard and then really a dull side. So lay the shiny side down on your cutting board and we're going to trim off that stem. Now, do not throw this stem away because it is edible. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to slice it into some thin slices and I'm going to use it as part of this wrap. But if you don't want to use it right away, you can actually keep the stem, put it in a Ziploc bag, and on the next time you're making a stir fry, chop it up and add it to your stir fry. You can actually take some of those stems and roast them in the oven with a little bit of olive oil. So really the key is here not to waste, but we can use up all parts of this beautiful leafy green. You know, the other thing I'd like to share with obviously my audience is kind of the nutrient benefits of chard. Because of that leafy green, that dark green kind of pigment, it's extremely high in an antioxidant called lutein. And that does promote great eye health, actually reduces our risk for macular degeneration. All right, so all of that aside, let's get started with this wrap. I'm going to use some lean turkey, but you can actually use any kind of lunch meat, or if you want to skip the meat, you can certainly do that. You can start with cheese, you can add some beans, anything like that. But I'm going to have a little bit of turkey as my base. And then a little bit of flavor. I love to use hummus because there's so many different types and varieties of hummus. Just kind of smear that over your lunch meat. Now, if you really like some kind of a mustard or a mayonnaise, feel free to put that on as well. All right, and now here's where you can really get creative. Whatever kind of vegetable you have in your refrigerator and you want to use it up, this is a great time to do that. I've got some red pepper strips that I'm just going to lay in the middle of my wrap. There are those lovely chard stems. I'm going to put that in there as well. I've got some cucumber strips, throw that on there, and then I've got some carrot strips as well. And starting from the stem side, all we do now is just roll it up. And it's easy as that. And just roll it up. Now at this point, you can certainly eat it now, or you can chill it in the refrigerator, but look at here. What I love so much about this is the beautiful color that you get with the chard really wrapped around it, that intense green with the vegetables inside. And that's really all you need to do with this particular recipe. So the next time you're in the grocery store, take a stab, buy some chard, make the wrap, and enjoy. Thanks for joining me.
It's always fun to get to know a local personality a little bit better on this show.
Yeah, which is something that we do really well. We tell stories, and in this case, we're going to tell a story about a guy who's told stories on TV.
So many of them. He's written books. His name is Dick Wolfsey. I think you're going to enjoy this segment.
Dick the Bruiser, let me tell you something. I'm not scared of you. Let me tell you that right now.
Shut up, Wolfsey. I've had enough of you. You've woke me up a half hour ago. You climbed over my fence.
What have you been up to?
Oh gosh, I am still on television 2 days a week.
Now I see on Wish TV. Are
I'm
we
on
talking
Wish TV,
still
Saturday
doing the weekend
and Sundays,
reporting?
And I'm actually doing exactly the same thing I've done since 1983. Well, not since 83, because I had a talk show for a while
I remember
downtown.
that with Patty, yep.
Yeah. Well, and also after that, I was on Channel 13 down at Union Station.
Oh,
yes. Yeah. But I still do the same kind of remotes. I find goofy, crazy things going on. People with odd collections, people that have, heartwarming stories, and I still do it, but only twice a week, so it makes life a little easier than working every day. I write a humor column.
You can write. You're a good writer.
Thank you. I write a humor, and I'm very proud of that, and I'm in about 35 newspapers, and around the country they pick up the column too.
I know.
So that's really cool for me, because something
cool.
funny will happen during the day, and I've written 1,000 of these now. For 20 years, every week for 20 years. I've written about 12 books, so I'm just very lucky.
What was the first book you ever wrote?
Well, the first book was really lousy, so I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. What about the second book?
Well, I've written...
12, you said.
I've written 12, but 4 of them were a compilation of the columns, so they're easy to put together.
Got it.
But my two most popular books one was called Indiana Curiosities, and it was the 300 strangest places in Indiana to visit. And that took me 2 years to write. I went to every county. And then my most popular book, in fact, it was actually a big seller in Europe too, was Mornings with Barney, which was all about my dog.
And that was based on your Mornings with Barney.
It was based on 12 years, 2,700 shows, where he came with me literally every day. He was always in trouble. Great story. A veterinarian heard me on TV complaining about the dog.
Okay.
So he said, I'm going to come over and teach your dog not to dig and to chew.
Oh.
And we did a show on my front step. And while he talked to me about the therapy, Barney dug up the entire garden. And then we went to a commercial break, and we never came back because he chewed the microphone cord. That's a true story. That's a true story. And to this day, I know.
R.I.P.
And people say, he was so funny. I said, well, he was a dog. He wasn't funny. I mean, he didn't know to be funny. He just was always in trouble.
Well, we love the Barney stories, and I'm not surprised it was one of your huge
Yeah.
bestsellers. Who would you say has influenced you?
There were 3 people in my life who made a huge difference for me in terms of being on television and writing. One was Soupy Sales, who I watched as a kid, and when I was in New York on television, he and I co-hosted together.
Oh my gosh,
you're
kidding.
And we became friends. And he came here then to Indianapolis to do the comedy clubs, and I was with him every single day for 2 weeks. The other person was Art Buchwald, who I met when I was in college and did a story on him when I had a humor column in college. And then over the past 35 years or so, we had stayed in touch. Not a lot, but stayed in touch. And he influenced my column writing. And then my hero of all time was Steve Allen, who, if you're very young, you might, under 50 maybe, you might not even remember Steve Allen. But Steve Allen was a creative genius, and I've read all his books, and he and I probably I've interviewed him 6 or 7 times. And again, I don't want to say we were friends, but he influenced me, and I knew him, and he knew me, and so those are the 3 people. They were real special. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for the city of Indianapolis and all that you've brought us over the years.
Thank you. I
It's
hope
been
lots
incredible.
more.
How many times have we laughed with you, laughed at you,
Yeah,
mostly with
no,
you.
yeah, that's right. I've done a few things that I deserve that. So.
You've had an amazing run.
Thank you, Julie. Great to see you.
Great to
It's been
see
a
you
long
too.
time. Good to see you.
Did you enjoy?
Yes, I enjoy. I learn.
Hope you enjoyed the show as well. We'll be back again next time.
See ya on LifeStyle Indy. Your life, your style. For all things Lifestyle Indy, just visit our website. That's lifestyleindy.com. It connects this TV show with the radio show and the magazine. We've got useful information for people all over central Indiana. And you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Pick up Lifestyle Indy magazine at most Kroger stores and libraries. Look for us all over Indy.
Listen to Lifestyle Indy Radio Saturday afternoons at 4:30 p.m. on Freedom 95. Lifestyle Indy Radio. Your life, your style.
Lifestyle Indy is made possible with support from Westport Homes, dedicated to building homes for every chapter of life, with plans and details that match customer-specific needs and style. Additional funding is provided by Altman, Poindexter, and Wyatt attorneys, serving clients throughout central Indiana with wills, trusts, and estates, with over 70 years of combined experience.